for about 3 hours or so, we were on tenterhooks, wondering whether or not the Chinese were having a case of cold feet. But the foreign ministry then clarified and confirmed that China, in fact, did retaliate with its own tariffs immediately after the U.S.'s move. Customs officials have already started collecting duties for 545 items worth $34 billion. This is the same amount matching the amount subject to U.S. tariffs. The targeted goods include crops like soybeans, as well as cars. And earlier today, the Commerce Ministry said that it really had no choice but to fight back and against what it described as the largest trade war in economic history. Now, the Chinese move only escalates what many people fear could become a protracted trade war. President Xi Jinping has shown no signs of wavering. President Trump appeared to double down on his stance during his visit to Montana. So a lot of people now are wondering what happens next. We know that both sides are going to be imposing about tariffs on about $16 billion worth of goods. Those are in the pipeline. But then beyond that, there are a lot of people here wondering how long is this trade war going to last? And also, how could it actually be resolved? Because it looks as though there's very little evidence to suggest that the two sides are going to come together for some dialogue. So that's making business decisions for many of the companies here very, very difficult. Guys?
Eunice, I've been hearing about some soft responses as well that China's taking, in some cases trying to dissuade Chinese citizens from traveling to the United States, cut off tourism by saying look out for shootings in the United States or for issues with customs border officials. What else is happening? What else should we be on the lookout for?
Yeah, well, that's been going on for weeks. A lot of this soft measures that you had been describing, or what people say are non-tariff measures, and what the Americans companies have been concerned are what the Chinese have described as other retaliatory measures that could actually take place. So these are regulatory issues, and that they could be ensnared by. Licensing approvals that could be slowed down. There have been companies who have been complaining about more custom checks at the ports, also fire inspections, and they're fearing that there could be environmental inspections and investigations as well. So all of these are possibilities that the American companies here are worried about if this trade war were to escalate even further.
What about lawsuits? I would have just thought that you'd try to tie people up in court.
I think that might be one issue, but the court system here is often viewed as a bit more biased towards the state. So this isn't necessarily something that is at the top of the list of American companies here.
And is the expectation that, in terms of the total number? I mean, the way I read it is that this $34 billion is just the beginning. It is so far from the end. And then the question is sort of where do the Chinese take it? Is that your sense?
Yeah, I mean, the $34 billion number was being discussed here quite a bit today. A lot of people were saying, just like what you had said, $34 billion is really a drop of the bucket when you think about the overall relationship between the two. But what's scaring people is just that nobody sees what the end is. And so is it going to be $34 billion or is it going to be $500 billion in the end? How are the two sides going to actually get together and try to resolve things? Is the only way to resolve it by actually going through a lot of pain and hurting a lot of companies in the process before you get to the table? So it's just that big unknown that's making people, companies as well as investors, very nervous.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.